What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Continuing with American Whiskey Month, I have the old Rip Van Winkle 10-year-old. Alright, so this is bottled at 53.5%, 107 proof. It is a highly sought after whiskey. Obviously, this is under the Pappy Van Winkle Buffalo Trace umbrella, but if you call this a Pappy Van Winkle, people might kill you. It's a Van Winkle. That's the best way to put it. A lot of people refer to it as the ORVP 10. This one is available in an LCBO lottery once a year. So many places have this as a lottery item as well across North America. Even in the UK and other parts of Europe, it's almost always a lottery item or first come first serve. There's not many. It goes for astronomical prices like $450 American in the secondary market. But if you can buy it retail, it goes for $100 at the LCBO. I think this year it was up to $110 Canadian. So that's, in my opinion, a very, very good price for this. I didn't get this in a lottery. I actually acquired this in a trade with one of my good buddies, Santa Cruzan, and I'm really happy with it. He actually did me a favor in the trade. Beautiful stuff. All right, it's 10 years old. Like I said, 53.5%, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it. When I first opened this bottle, I had a William LaRue Weller on hand, and I tasted them side by side, and there were striking similarities to the two, which makes me believe that the mash bill is probably very, very, very similar. They do not disclose any of the Rip Van Winkle mash bills, the Van Winkle anything, Pappy's, whatever else. They also don't disclose the Buffalo Trace Antique collection of mash bills. So we won't know, but we do know that they tend to use a lot of wheat in the William LaRue Weller, in all the Wellers, and in all the Van Winkles. So we can assume that it's a very, very similar mash bill. This is 10 years old at 53.5%. The William LaRue Weller is about 12, sometimes older, depending on the year you get it. And it's bottled at barrel proof, so around between like 64 and 70% ABV. I'm gonna taste this, nose this, and give it a mark. Okay, so it's super sweet on the nose. A lot of cherry with this one. Subtle ripe banana in the background. Caramel for sure. There's a little more caramel with the William LaRue Weller, especially the 2017 William LaRue Weller compared to this Van Winkle 10. This is also a 2017 as far as I know, but I could be wrong about that because I'm not exactly sure when Santa Cruzan picked this up. A little bit of like a dill note in the background, which is usually like synonymous with bourbon, but more so with a rye-based bourbon. So but this has been open for some time, and it's about halfway now. It's almost exactly at the halfway mark, maybe slightly less. Okay, on the palate. Caramel, cherry. The ABV is probably set at the perfect amount, in my opinion. I like my bourbon ABVs higher, above 50% if possible. And I feel like this is the right ABV to drink this at. You could add a couple drops of water maybe, but not much at all. Whereas the Buffalo Trace Antique Series, or Collection, sorry, you may need to add some water so you don't burn out your palate. But a lot of people get angry when you say you're going to add some water. You should taste it neat first just to kind of get an idea of what it's all about though. Yeah, and then once your mouth is acclimated, it's so much smoother. You get all that cherry, caramel, subtle hints of banana in the background. It's nice, it's viscous, it's got a buttery mouthfeel. Yeah, super buttery. I think I like this one a little bit better when I first opened it than I do now, but still excellent stuff. Honestly, it's really, really good. I'm gonna say this is probably a 91, maybe a 92. Not as high as I would score the William LaRue Weller, although at first I was going back and forth. I just feel like the William LaRue Weller, you get a little bit more out of that bottle because it's barrel proof. It's maybe a little sweeter and definitely a little bit more buttery. Okay, but this is excellent stuff. Would I pay the secondary prices on this bottle having tasted it? Absolutely not. I wouldn't have paid the secondary prices on any of the bourbons that are available, any of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, any of the Van Winkles. I do really want to get my hands on the Pappy Van Winkle 15-year-old. That's my goal for next year's American Whiskey Month. If I can have that in hand, I'll be very, very happy. But it's crazy. Like, as soon as you get a bottle like that, it would cost me probably about $300 if I won it at the lottery at the LCBO. Then the thought of me opening that bottle once in hand is crazy, because you start to think, man, I could turn around and get $1,200 for this bottle of American. I do plan on opening a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle 15-year-old if one ever ends up in my hands. I wouldn't even mind trading for a half bottle of one with someone I trust, obviously. But it's the secondary market on bourbon right now is terrifying. And for those of you paying it, all the power to you. I don't judge you. You do what you have to do. I just know that I couldn't do it. I wouldn't pay $400 for this. I wouldn't pay over $250 for this bottle. And the only reason I would probably go as high as 200 Canadian is because of what it's valued at elsewhere. But is the liquid worth $200? I don't know. I don't think so. All right, so I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. I think you can get better for less. The ECBP is in this ballpark, if not better. There's a bunch, all right? The Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof, I know it's not technically a bourbon, but that's honestly one of my favorite. For the price, it's probably the best one, all right? But that's my opinion, all right? Anyway, that's, like I said, a 91. It's an A+ for sure. Really, really good stuff. Thanks for joining me, guys. You guys can check me out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you guys can also support the channel on Patreon. Cheers.